The coronavirus has taken a toll on every human being in this world, whether it be through presenting individuals with new physical, mental, or financial struggles. First identified in Wuhan City in December 2019, COVID-19 has spread throughout various parts of China. As of February 2020, COVID-19 has spread to more countries, including the USA, Italy, Spain, Germany, France, and Iran. On April 18th, COVID-19 was prevalent in 198 countries, infecting 2.4 million people and leading to 150,000 deaths across the world. COVID-19 became considered a global pandemic. Mental health has taken an extreme hit during the pandemic and the ordered quarantine. The impact of stay-at-home orders, as well as the amount of people that have died during this pandemic, has led to many mental health struggles. During June 24th through the 30th, 40.9% of respondents of a survey of 5,470 respondents had one adverse mental or behavioral health condition. 30.9% claimed to have symptoms of anxiety disorder or depressive disorder. 26.3% reported of symptoms of trauma or stressor-related disorder due to this pandemic. 13.3% of the respondents began to utilize substance abuse due to the stress caused by the pandemic. The rate of the percentage of people who severely considered suicide rose from 10% to 25.5%.
With the increasing amount of businesses and enterprises being closed down due to the pandemic, the financial struggles have been impacting a great majority of the population. 46% of the households in America have reported that they face serious financial struggles. In cities like Chicago, 50% of households have serious financial problems, which is attributed to the 35% who have used up all of their savings. In New York City, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Houston, 50 to 80% of Latino and Black households have reported serious financial struggles with paying rent, having depleted savings, or inability to pay their credit cards. The National Public Radio conducted a poll surveying 3,500 people, discovering that 87% of households have serious problems caring for their children, especially considering that 67% of them have lost their jobs or wages. We conducted interviews of 2 individuals who are part of the Oxford Academy community, asking about their personal experiences with the physical, mental, and financial struggles that they faced throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. We first interviewed Melissa Ratana, who is a student at Oxford Academy.
It's had a pretty negative impact overall. I've had a lot of rough patches during COVID-19. In a couple days, it's going to be the anniversary of my godfather passing away from COVID. And in January, I had my uncle pass away from COVID, so it's been difficult. My mindset, I've grown to realize how much I took advantage of school and seeing all my friends every day. They really were like my main motivators for getting most of my things done, because they'd remind me like, oh, you have this, and this due, because like they had it due too. And like we would work on it together. We could like goof around at like the quad or something. But now with the pandemic, I really haven't been able to see anybody. So it's had a negative impact on my mental health. I found myself like not reaching out to others. Like even though we have social media, it's difficult to reach out to others because I really didn't find I had the energy to do it. And at the same time, I started losing motivation for school. Like, what was the point of doing my assignments if it really didn't matter? Like, there's so much going on in the world, and my assignments are what are deciding my life right now. But I've managed to push through it, and it's like really changed my mindset on how I see like myself and my work ethic.
Our final interview was of Principal Houston of Oxford Academy.
So I guess I tried to follow. We respected and followed guidelines as they were set forth, you know, whether we agreed or disagreed with them. If we were having moments where we felt kind of rough, like we have a second house up in Lake Arrowhead, so we went there a lot in the spring when it first happened. We would just take the kids up there and just walk around in the forest, so there was nobody around, you know, so it was like we were by ourselves. We did it sometimes just to get a change of scenery of being stuck in the house, you know. So I was really thankful my parents have that house up there. We just we would still go outside, we would just try to take walks in the neighborhood, even just to get outside the house with our dogs. We would go in the backyard as a family, and we like playing cornhole, it sounds stupid, but just getting into fresh air felt good, right? So we would play cornhole and spike ball and just do all these, silly things. We cooked more than we've ever cooked because we have more time, because we're not rushing to and from work. So my husband's totally taken up cooking and makes us all these amazing foods, really, really yummy stuff. Trying to think what else. I mean, we tried to just follow everything they told us to do within reason. One thing we never could not do is we still always went to the grocery store and stuff. I never got into shipping the grocery store our house, because I'm well, now somebody else is touching it. It just felt weird. It felt pointless, touchless, but I'm really, it's not, so I still always went to the grocery store. We tried to help the local businesses, once or twice a week, we'd order takeout, from restaurants so that they could try to stay in business and stuff like that. My kids, not me, because I'm exhausted on weekends, but my kids started to do, our church went remote, videotaping before. So they would go and do all the service stuff, the videoing and the editing with the pastor and everybody. So they kind of did that to help give church services to people at home. I don't know. Now, I'll be honest, you guys, for the last several months, I went on vacation in November. We went to Florida and went to the Keys and basically water skied and snorkeled all weekend, So everything we've been trying to do, we've tried to, if we do fly somewhere, we try to be outside, where we're not stuck inside doing stuff. But we're at the point where we feel pretty much 100% comfortable now, and just knowing that you got to kind of move forward, wash your hands, wear your masks when asked, and we're not as concerned. Well, it has affected a lot of my friends and colleagues. My sister is a teacher and her husband is a physical therapist, so it had nobody immediate to me, but my neighbors and friends, a lot of them do. They do hair, they own a hair salon, right? So every time it got shut down, or they're estheticians, so every time it would get shut down, they're losing all that money, they're still having to pay rent for their places. And I would see them and just, they were always I'll do it in my garage, I just need to make money, to pay my this or pay my that. And I always felt so bad. And then we have a couple other friends that own restaurants in our neighborhood, so they were just, beside themselves as well, because they just bought a couple of these places too, so it was kind of just getting started. So they were so creative, and I loved the innovation that restaurants have had, right? With come and get family meals and do takeout, and to still at least keep going, So I don't know how to help other than, because I think they've done a great job. Restaurants have done a great job still trying to stay afloat, a lot of them with the dining, come pick up the dining. I know that places I've been really impressed with places like Knott's in Disneyland that are somehow they figured out, now let's do Taste of Disneyland, Taste of Knott's, to think outside the box within the parameters that have been set so they can kind of maintain. I feel it's just been terrible for so many people that have been laid off or things of that. I mean, companies that have gone under that have been around forever, right? That's lost their profession in all this. I know that a lot of my friends, this might be an option for people that have been affected financially. They've actually gone to work at testing centers, so I had a bunch of friends that worked at Disney. I mean, they're 50 years old. So they worked for Disney their whole career, right? And then when Disney closed, not only was it terribly sad, but I mean, they're used to paying their rent, or their mortgages or their rent or whatever. I mean, they've never had another job, and Disneyland turned it into a vaccination center and then turned it into a testing center, the parking lots at Disneyland. So they got first dibs on being trained to do the testing and the vaccinations, you know, so they've been able to get back into the, you know, like a lot of jobs have disappeared, but then some jobs have been created out of this too, right? So you just have to kind of like get out there and hustle, I guess, and try to figure out what you can do. And then, but then there's a whole added layer of like, if you have young kids on school Zoom all day, how do you work when you have kids trying to do school from, you know, home, you know? It's just, and I think that's why our district was really, not only was our safety first and foremost, everybody's safety, but I think they also thought about how many of our teachers have kids that need to do school and the schools aren't open either. You know, they're starting to open now more, you know, but in the beginning, you know, I don't know. I even told like my sister, I was like, oh my gosh, you should like open up, because she teaches kindergarten, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you should open up like where everyone comes to your house and you could like babysit them and make money, you know, and teach the kindergarten class. Like, I'm always like trying to make money, right? I was like, oh my gosh, because you don't even have to work and this and that. You could have all the kindergarteners over there and you could just teach them. But she didn't want to see anybody because she was like scared to see people, you know? But I always thought, well, that'd be a great idea. Like if I didn't have a job, like I'd be like, I'll watch everybody's kids all day and do their school with them, you know? Like, I don't know. It's probably silly, but I've been out of work before, so I'm always trying to think of ways to make money.
These are some mental health resources that may be of convenience, especially during these times. The pandemic with the quarantine has been tough on everyone, and we sincerely hope that the resources mentioned before are used if needed. Stay safe.